Hi everyone, my name is Rhys Wynn Davies, psychic medium. In this short video, I wanted to talk to you about what to expect when having a reading with me. In the past, I used to be a scientist for about 20 years in environmental science. One of the reasons why I got into mediumship was really about the evidential factor. I really love to give evidence in my readings as much as possible, with a particular focus to physical evidence. Physical evidence can vary from a relationship, cause of death, a name. They might connect to the person that's communicating or someone they're with when they died. They can also give names of people who are alive. Physical evidence can also be facial features, body type, amputees, medical devices, physical things they left behind, like objects of endearment and things they made, gifts and things that connect to them, things they treasured, hobbies, passions, interests. They're really like strong types of physical evidence that I work really hard to try and give in my session. I also like to give post-life evidence, which I feel that aspect makes me maybe different to other people who do this type of work. But post-life evidence is what's happened since we've died. And I love to try and give a lot of that in my readings as well. The reason for that is I think not only is a heartfelt message really important during a reading, why they come with love and remorse and seeking forgiveness, or maybe changing their point of view, what they've seen since they've died, that type of thing. With post-life evidence, it's about, since I've died, I know you've going through this. Since I died, I know you're having this type of relationship. Or since I've died, I'm aware that a child's been born with my name passed on. Since I've died, we're taking on study or education. Or since I've died, I've actually met someone else in the spirit world, and try and give evidence of that. These are daily events or occurrences in your life that involve you, other family members, situations and stuff that might be, important to you. And the reason for that is why I like it so much is it's to let you know that they're still with you, even since dying. And I really work hard to try and do that in my sessions. I want to not only, help you on a psychic level with your everyday life and living. I want you to connect to someone who is still with you today and can give validation of that. Sometimes people come and say, I've got no dead people, but I always think, well, that's not true. If you don't want to connect to someone who's died, that's okay. I can still give you a reading about your own everyday life. But if you are open-minded and willing and enthusiastic and eager, you could learn a lot more about in your family who've died. The cool thing about mediumship is that it can introduce you to someone in your life in the spirit world who's still with you today, even though you didn't have time with each other in the physical life. I guess I'm putting it out there to you that if you come for a reading and you don't know someone that's died, don't dismiss it, because it's highly likely something might happen with me and yourself, and it could start a great spiritual relationship and someone who can be a guide to you through your own family unit moving forward through your life, and maybe help you feel like you're not alone even when you think you are. You're never really alone. And I think that's really beautiful and really special in mediumship anyway. I've had it for myself, so I would want that for someone else, and especially for people who are young or may have lost grandparents that they never knew. Be open and enthusiastic. Learn a little bit about the family tree before you come for a reading. Ask your family or your parents or other family members, bring a photo with you. Maybe people have, got a family history book or something about them. Bring it with you just in case, that these things are quite special, and mediumship can open the doors to the infinite impossibility if you're open to it. In a reading, if you're a bit skeptic and critical, or, curious, or, another medium and just wanting to check me out, that type of energy is going to also, have an impact. It's not going to be as good or as enthusiastic as it would be if you weren't. If you're positive and uplifting and you were well rested and and you're really willing and really responsive to the things I say, it's certainly going to help the reading go along a lot better. And if it doesn't, if you're not like that, then it's going to have a significant difference to the outcome. If you're got a good mindset, really positive, you're well rested, you're in a great space, you've got great Wi-Fi, you've got well-lit room so that I can see you clearly, then it's going to be a more positive outcome. I have good days and bad days too, If I feel like I can't help you, I'm not going to talk for an hour of your time if I feel like it's not working or I don't feel like I'm connecting to the spirit. I really don't want to do that. I don't want to take your money if I can't help you. So, know that I give refunds if you're not happy within yourself. So don't be scared to tell me this is not what I want. I'd like to stop and have a refund. That's quite okay. No questions asked. But don't be upset with me if I say, hey, listen, I don't feel like I'm connecting like I want to for you today. Let's reschedule, or I'll give you your money back and come back another time. I had one person come back a year later and it was amazing, Now, I also give the option of doing drawings, but the drawings are, I guess, part of my quest to be more evidential in my sessions. There's a slight variation in cost for a session for having the drawings. The drawing can typically be matching to a photograph that you might have of someone that's died. It can be to a younger or older version of them, just so you know. And then sometimes people have gone, I know who you're talking about, Rhys, but that drawing is someone else that's died. So they can understand that I'm talking about a person that's died, but the drawing is actually another person that has died at the same time. So it is true, men can do two things at once sometimes, which is amazing when that happens. I've got no control over it, right? It's automatic. I don't get an impression in my mind and draw from memory. It's just my hand just, does it. So if you want that experience, it's great and a lot of fun. Sometimes the drawing can also be someone you don't know. I can be talking about someone you do know, but the drawing is someone else completely different that you don't know, right? Don't dismiss it. Go away and investigate and find other photos, like I said before, and just see if there's some connection and see where it takes you. In that process, if I draw a great-grandfather and you can connect and the mother can be understood that's I'm talking about, then celebrate that, the mum is also with another family member. And if you go away and find a matching photo to the drawing, that can be amazing, can't it? Especially if you take it to other family members who might be more senior than you. It can give them comfort and healing too, to maybe feel that maybe we don't die and survive so-called death, and that these people are trying to communicate through the family, I guess in that case, if I did draw someone that's you can still understand but not a direct person, maybe in 6 months to a year come back and that person might be then drawn. I think, the spirit will divinely make something happen that's supposed to at that time. It's something to be open-minded about. Now, sometimes with the drawings too, this is really interesting, that with the drawings, I can also talk about someone who's died, but then actually draw somebody who's living. This doesn't mean they're going to die next or anything like that. This just means that Spirit not only wants to communicate with you as the recipient, they're wanting to acknowledge someone else at the same time. When I go to the psychic aspect about your life, please know I'm not a fortune teller. I believe that thoughts are living things, and if you're thinking it, highly likely it's going to happen. I can give a guide or a time frame around something in your thoughts, but it's only a guide. You can always do it sooner or later, or change your mind and not do it at all. You'll know, and I'll explain to you in the session, that with my own spirit power, I can just get things too, and it doesn't always come from the spirit. So in our own ability, I can just know things too about a person through telepathy, right? I'll be saying, is it true you're having these thoughts, feeling this, had these ideas? Is that true? When I'm using my own power. When I'm doing mediumship, it's more like your father in spirit tells me you're moving house. There's a big difference in that process. But you'll clearly see if I am working psychic, or you want me to work psychic with you and to help you in your life with everyday situations. You'll know, because I'll be saying, is it true you're having these thoughts or thinking this now, or has this happened, and that's my own power, yes, so you can see the difference when I'm working. I use oracle cards at the end. They're cards that I've made over the last few years with my partner, Rhys, who's a wonderful support to me and what I do. And we created these cards based on the last 12 years of my experience basically working with people and the types of feelings and emotions that are often talked about in sessions. So they're very on point. They've got great imagery. They're very simple but great imagery. And they have a lot of accuracy in terms of, processing thoughts and where you're at in a particular situation in that moment of time. I'll use those at the end of the session. I will always intuitively tell you what I think first and then use the cards later. The cards are just a support. I'm not connecting to them and using them to come to an awareness. I've already done that first and then use them at the end as additional support in everyday life. I will also use spirit message cards towards the end of mediumship, just to validate or back up things that have already been said. The cards aren't used to channel, the cards are used as a support later on to give extra comfort. In those cards, they're beautiful imagery. Sometimes those images, I don't think there's coincidences, but sometimes there are perfect moments when the cards are chosen that they have some significant synchronistic aspect to things that have been said in the reading, or relate to the recipient in some emotional or mental way, even from the past or present situation that they're going through, whether it's through grief and losing a loved one, or whether it's relating to their everyday life. And they're just fantastic. I take photos of those if it's an online session and send that to you in an email later with your audio. But in face-to-face, you're welcome to take photos of that and take them with you on your device after a session. Yeah, the online sessions are just as good as face-to-face. I love them the most because you get to do it in the comfort of your own home when it suits you. You can pick a day and a time that suits. And it also is great for the environment. I worked in the environment for 20 years. I was really blessed to plant over 8.5 million trees. And even now in my work, I'm really still, an advocate and ambassador for planting trees. And it's something that I will donate some of the money from our sessions. So isn't that special? If you have a reading, just know that there's a tree that's being planted on your behalf somewhere in the world, maybe as a remembrance for a loved one that you've lost, and that there'll be a tree planted to honor their life somewhere in the world. So I really hope you enjoyed that video. To see more like it, examples of my readings, my demonstrations, my spirit drawings, and spiritual education, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, link below in the comments. But you can also friend me on social media. I'd really love that via Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again soon.